YouTube and Tumblr fans. I am Midnight Strike 3625 here bringing you a new review. So, the last time I reviewed CD by All That Remains called A War You Cannot Win. And God, I still think the album cover is fucking sweet on this thing. I mean, I just love the cursive writing and the skull and how they play off the crossbones with the M4s there. It's just amazing. But that's not what this review is about. This review is about, one second, I gotta get a track list up. The new CD by Aerosmith called Music from Another Dimension that I just picked up today at Target at a very, very affordable price. It's actually $12.99 right now, but you get 15 songs on it. And they're actually pretty good. I mean, for the most part, it's got a lot of filler on it, but I'll get more into that. I'll delve more into that a little bit later. First, I want to give you a bit of background on the band and where they come from, how long they've been around. So, first of all, Aerosmith, either love them or hate them, you gotta admit, they did have a very, very significant impact on classic rock as a whole, and a lot of people cite them as influences. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, they, in my opinion, in my mind, they're really good. Except for, there was a time in the early to mid 80s where they didn't really have an identity due to Joe Perry leaving the band and Brad Whitford. But they have since recovered from that. The 90s they did pretty well, but the 2000s, they released one album in the year 2001 called Just Push Play, and it was, I gotta say, very, very disappointing. And there were a couple good songs on that album, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't Aerosmith. It was some radio-friendly band that really didn't have an identity, and it seemed like they were going for popularity. But that's not what this is about. Now that I've got you guys caught up on basically what Aerosmith did, this is their first album in 11 years. So is it worth the wait? Well, let's get into it. The first song is called Love 3 Times, just style Love LUV XXX, and it has a kind of a cliche intro with the words kind of taking you into another dimension where your perception of reality is altered or wrong or something like that, and it has a very interesting effect on the rest of the album because it's basically from that standpoint. So this album sounds like it was straight from the 1970s. I gotta hand him that much. It's not modern day radio friendly, but it does kind of sound like it would go with some of the older 1970s hits. So, not as gritty and to the point and simplistic and organic and raw as their earlier material. Yeah, I know I used a lot of adjectives there, but it's not as basically classic as their old material, but it is very good and it is very talented. They make use of a lot of different sort of styles in there. They make use of a lot of other variables such as female backing vocalists, kind of like the 1970s did, and some very good piano ballads, some pretty good modern effects. It's like a modern day, a postmodern, well, not really postmodern, but modern day 70s record that would go perfectly on the radio and no one would have a problem with it because it's Aerosmith and it sounds good. So, Love 3 Times, pretty good song. I'm going to go over the highlights. There are 15 tracks, and if you got the deluxe version, there is 18. So, I kind of did by accident what I did with In Waves. I downloaded the deluxe version first and then accidentally bought the standard version without even realizing it. But I do have an opinion on all 18 songs, but I'm just going to give you the highlights on some of my favorites. Love 3 Times, really good, really hard rockin'. So kind of a throwback to their older stuff, older material from, say, Toys in the Attic. Oh Yeah is pretty good, but I really wish that they would have sung the chorus themselves instead of relying on the female backing vocalists to just go, oh, yeah, you know, I mean, it's still a good song, don't get me wrong. And then another one of my favorites is Beautiful. So, Just Push Play was beyond beautiful. This is just beautiful. But, in all actuality, Beautiful is, in my mind, the better song. It's got a really good riff, really hard rocking, or hard chorus with some great effects with that. And, I don't know, the singing's amazing on it. Another one of my favorites, Legendary Child. This is one of the hardest songs aside from Love Three Times on the album. And it's got a great riff, great premise, really good lyrics. Kind of what I've noticed on this album is some of the titles are throwbacks to previous releases, such as like Beautiful is Beyond Beautiful. Legendary Child was Last Child, and just stuff like that. So another one of my favorites is We All Fall Down. Sounds like I Don't Want to Miss a Thing a lot, and I really appreciate that, kind of the throwback of it. And going on, Freedom Fighter is another good one, and actually Steven Tyler isn't singing it. It's Joe Perry, I believe, and he kind of reminds me of Paul Stanley from Kiss on Monster, how they sounded. I don't know, it just sounds like it's a Kiss singer. It kind of reminded me of that. So yeah, that's another good one. And one of my absolute favorite ballads on here, I think it is my favorite ballad, is the final track on the standard edition right here, is Another Last Goodbye, because Steven Tyler knows how to hit the high notes without cracking, without his voice cracking, without rasping, without going into a scream, without going into a yelp. He knows how to hit those high notes and hold them for vast amounts of time, and it sounds heavenly, to be honest. It sounds soothing, and combined with the piano ballads, it's not a typical Aerosmith ballad. It actually has something unique about it because he does get into that rasp as well. So it kind of reminds me of Angel and what I thought about it at first with the improved vocals. It's a treat. It's a real treat for Aerosmith fans. And songs I didn't really like too much personally were Something, and I don't know, that one's not sung by Steven Tyler either. It just seemed a little bit monotone or monotonous, and I didn't really like Can't Stop Loving You by the Carrie Underwood one. It's featuring Carrie Underwood, but it was good for a country song, but I'm not a country fan. I'll give it that much. It is a good country song, but I personally don't really like country that much. I'm not going to mark the album down for that, I guess. I'll retract my last statement, but I'm not personally a fan of country. It is produced well. The production value of this album is phenomenal. So oh, and Freedom Fighter is a very good song. I forgot to mention that one. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of songs here to review, but Freedom Fighter is one of my favorites. And Up on the Mountain, the beginning riff is very catchy. Aerosmith have always been known for their catchy riffs, such as in Walk This Way, that actually got turned into a rap/rock song with Run DMC in the early 90s. So that kind of says something. Late 80s, early 90s, I don't know. But overall, I would say the best songs on this album are Love Three Times, Legendary Child, Freedom Fighter, and Another Last Goodbye, actually, because I don't know, those are the highlights, and those are the best songs we've heard in a really long time from Aerosmith. So I would probably, this is kind of a hard one because there's so many different songs on it, and there's so much history in this album. It's just astounding. Usually when bands come out with an album like 10, 11 years after their last one, it's just that 5, 10, 11 years, and then they don't release another one for like 5, 10, 11 years. And well, Kiss proved us wrong. They released Sonic Boom right after, or Monster right after Sonic Boom, which was like 3 years later. So Kiss is here to stay. But I'm really hoping that AC/DC and Metallica kind of follow suit in that aspect, as well as Aerosmith should keep on releasing new music pretty much like 4 years, 3-4 years, because they've really got to get back into the swing of things. There was a lot of drama surrounding Aerosmith's last lead singer, Steven Tyler, actually. So he was in the hospital, I believe, in 2009 through 2010 or something like that, and he couldn't perform, so they tried to get Lenny Kravitz on, but Tyler filed a lawsuit or a cease and desist order. And there was so much drama surrounding the band in those years that just the possibility of an album seemed like next to none. So I'm glad it's finally out. They recorded it in 2011, and I would probably give this album a solid 8 out of 10 because it does have a lot of filler tracks, but the positives of this album definitely outweigh the negatives. It is a classic return to a classic band that has since found their identity. So it's just that. I rate this album 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching.